That's just my advice.
Okay, so this is the number 3 video upload. I'm going to slow it down a little bit, okay, because we are going to get into calendar, and we are going to get into certain information that pertains to what we're talking about as far as Syria.
And hopefully we'll have some time to throw in some dead fish.
You're traveling through to another dimension, a dimension of not only paranoia and delusion, but of idiocy. A journey into a wondrous land whose boundaries are that of pure ignorance. Your next stop, the batshit crazy zone.
Is concerned. Okay, so the goddess Isis has to do with sacrificial humans.
No, Isis doesn't have anything to do with human sacrifice. At least none of the research that I know about historically, mythologically, or archaeologically has ever pointed to any kind of a cult of Isis, or that Isis was somehow associated with human sacrifice. So I don't know where you're getting this.
Or sacrificing humans, shall I say.
No, Isis does not have anything to do with human sacrifice. Isis, if anything, is a goddess of the moon. She represents fertility, rebirth, resurrection, but she doesn't have anything to do with human sacrifice.
It's a requirement that the woman Isis needs in order to celebrate the sun.
Why are you hovering over these links? Why don't you just click on one, open it up, and read what it has to say, and then we can draw our own conclusions. But instead, you just have these links there, but you're just talking about whatever it is that's on your mind about these actual links.
And it's basically a worship of the sun.
Ra is associated with the sun. Isis is associated with the moon.
Okay, like I said, you have women and children that are oppressing other people.
Looking back in history, children and women very rarely held any positions of power. Children, maybe under the age of 13, wielded power, but it was very, very rare. Same with women, although there were probably more women who wielded power in history than children. But even then, it was mostly the men who wielded power.
And the reason why is because there's really no men available at this time who are willing to step up to the plate and teach the people. Okay,
And again, throughout history, the majority of our scholars, historians, mathematicians, people who are in positions of knowledge, the majority of them were men. Yes, there were some women, but the majority of them were men.
We have the Bible, and that's about it. Okay, that's why it's always a good idea to go to the Bible. All right, let's go ahead and read Isaiah chapter 3, verse 4. And I will give children.
What does this have to do with Isis?
To be their princes, and babes shall rule over them. Okay, confirming verse number 12. In the fact that you got women who are, I don't know, using their sexuality to make people do certain things, okay? Now, we have what is called a blessing of the Pope, okay? Now, there are many, many popes. There are many antichrists out there. I suppose you can consider the Vatican the mother of all harlots, the mother of the rest of the denominations, but somebody else is behind the Vatican, okay? And that group of people are called the Synagogue of Satan.
So the Vatican, the center of Catholicism for nearly 2,000 years, is the Synagogue of Satan?
Okay, so let's go ahead and check out the blessing that we are going to see being given to this crowd of people. This crowd of people have no idea that the blessing that they are going to witness.
So let me get this right. There's about 3,000 people from around the world who have been Catholics all of their life, probably been Catholics all their life. They're in St. Peter's Square, here to see the Pope, and they're all under some kind of delusion. But you are the one who knows everything. These 300,000 people are just completely blind to whatever it is that's going on. I see.
Is really a blessing of the sun. It's a worship of the sun. Okay, you'll see that this Pope is.
Early on, man relied upon the sun for everything, for illumination, for warmth, for the seasons, for hunting, everything. Man was very dependent upon the sun and the moon.
Offering his blessings right in front of the obelisk, okay? And it is exactly the way the president takes his inauguration right in front of another obelisk, okay, in another area. This area just happens to be in another part of the world.
St. Peter's Square was designed not only to be able to hold a great deal of people in a ceremonious fashion, but it was also designed in such a way where the Pope could speak and all of the people around could hear him.
Okay, same scenario, different people, different crowd, same worship, and that is of the sun. Okay, when you see the blessing, when you see the Pope raise his hand in the air, and then to each side, and then down, making the sign of the cross, what it really means is it is a blessing north of the equator, south of the equator, east and west of the equator.
What? What are you talking about? What happens if the Pope is facing a different direction or in the southern hemisphere? Does that mean that he would have to do the blessing in a different way? I've never ever heard of that or ever seen the Pope in the southern hemisphere do it differently, or facing east or facing west or facing north or south.
Coming full circle in celebration of spring, summer, fall, and winter.
And so what? The seasons are vital for our survival.
Okay. Also, the cross represents death.
Death? I'm not a Catholic and I wasn't raised Catholic, but even I understand that the cross is a symbol of sacrifice and penance and resurrection.
Okay, lots of symbols out there. You have to know your symbols in order to be able to identify. So let's go ahead and let this roll. All right, so you got all these people. They have absolutely no idea what's going on.
Again, you are under the delusion that you are correct, and these 300,000 people from around the world who have been Catholics all their life are completely wrong.
Okay, at this point, at this late time, I'm sure that, to the researcher, to people who are researching symbols and hand signs, hand gestures, whatever, I'm sure that the people who do know about certain ways of communication in regards to the Synagogue of Satan.
Symbols do indeed mean something for different time periods, different cultures, and different peoples. And there has to be context to those symbols. For example, the equal-armed cross, or what we know in the West as the swastika, for the Vietnamese Buddhists, it means the turning of life, the turning of karma. For people in Scandinavia or Norway, it may be a symbol of the sun or a symbol of Thor. And in Europe and in America, we associate the swastika with the Nazi swastika symbol. But that's because the different cultures, different time periods, and different cultures and different time periods have different context for that symbol. But yes, symbols are language. Every single language in the entire world has a symbol to represent a certain sound. We put certain symbols together, they create certain sounds, what we call today words. So yes, Symbolism is a language.
Will be able to recognize that this crowd of people right here are actually being, they are actually the sacrifice. Okay.
They are the sacrifice. So what? So afterwards the Swiss guards come out and kill everybody in St. Peter's Square? What are you talking about? How are they a sacrifice?
So we have other ways in which to identify that Freemasons are basically running the whole show, but...
Well, no surprise there. You also buy into the Illuminati conspiracy theories?
You have to be able to recognize who is behind Freemasonry. And for that information, we will have to go back to the Bible. Okay, so let's go ahead and start on number 4.
So far, she has not explained what this video has to do with ISIL, Mabon, Samhain, or witchcraft for that matter. So I may just end this with one more video and kind of wrap it all up, because she's not saying anything new. She's just repeating the same information over and over again. So anyhow, this has been Lilokin. Thank you, and blessed be.